Hello and welcome to TCF 2022 here in London. I'm Sam Allen for FinextraTV and I'm delighted to be joined in our studio by Maurya Murphy, Senior Product Director for Temenos Corporate Banking. Thank you for joining us.
Very nice to be here. Thank you.
Retail banking quite often gets the spotlight, as we know, but corporate banking is a real growth driver for banks. With that in mind, what are the big market and technology trends in corporate banking today?
You're absolutely right. So one of the key areas of growth is corporate banking. So compound annual growth rates projected to grow 7.5% between 2022 and 2027. And as we know, low interest rates are coming to an end. Inflation is very high. And the cost of operations, particularly in areas like corporate loan servicing, they're particularly costly. So there are a few trends. These large exposures are tying up a lot of the bank's balance sheets, and banks need to digitalize to give a better customer experience, but also they need to look at how their staff are willing to work. They're no longer based in the office. And as a result of that, you've got to cut the cost of your operations, but you've also got to look for those areas of growth. So a couple of the key areas are how can you standardize your processes and your people around the technology. So any way that you can enable straight-through processing, enable standardization or digitalization of operations, these are key areas banks are focusing on right now.
Big areas. And tell us how the needs of corporate banks differ from retail banks.
So they are quite different in their nature, and then obviously there's a grey area in the middle, which is one of the largest growing areas, the SME area. So the corporate banking needs are a little bit different because it's not the individual personalization, but it is how can I provide a better corporate experience? How can I make sure that I get transaction turnaround times reduced? How can I make sure that I'm bringing new products to market, particularly sustainable loans, anything to do with bringing a more personalized service to what is essentially a complex structure. So banks are looking at new and innovative ways to reduce the time to market, reduce the time to cash, and capitalize on those growth and high margin areas.
Personalization is key. So what does this mean from a technology perspective? How is Temenos responding?
So Temenos is responding in a number of ways, but I think the key thing is providing componentization and flexibility so that you can configure and adapt to changing market environment. So the regulatory burden continues to grow. So Temenos is providing capabilities that allow the bank to change their operations very quickly, configure new products, but also get that digital experience, which has traditionally not been very prevalent in the corporate space. So a unified bank operations staff experience, a single source of data, as well as a better customer digital experience. I think these are the key trends.
So that agility and flexibility moving into that world is where Temenos is leading the way.
Absolutely. And we have to respond to this changing environment. The world is changing very fast. Yeah. Corporates are becoming more demanding, and quite rightly so. So we need to adapt and make sure that we accommodate those trends.
And that change isn't slowing down?
No, not at all.
It's really not slowing down. So a tricky question. What is the key takeaway from TCF 2022 for banks offering corporate banking services?
I think one of the key things, and it's certainly been the hot topic during this conference, is you don't need to go through a massive core transformation, particularly in an area like corporate lending, SME and retail lending. You don't need to rip out those systems. What you can do is, with Temenos, we can provide you banking service for all of your corporate loan servicing, and it can sit alongside your core. So we're bringing that capability so that the banks can capitalize, they can provide that better customer service, they can streamline their operations, cut their costs, but get that agility that they need without having to go through multi-year transformation projects.
That's a great takeaway. And one final question, what's been your highlight from TCF 2022? We're back in London, we're back in this space. What's been one of your personal highlights?
For me, it's it's speaking to your customers, speaking to clients, speaking with your partners, and working out and just capitalizing on 1 + 1 is 10. It's getting those ideas and sharing the art of what is possible. It's been really good to do that.
The art of what is possible. Maurya Murphy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.